Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited for today. Welcome to Soul Channel. My name is Teresa Warnstaff. I'm an intuitive mentor, a guide. And Soul Channel is a place for seekers to cultivate clarity, raise consciousness, normalize spirituality, and change the world, one person at a time. Today, we're talking with Liane Grimshaw from Manchester. She is going to be talking about a journey home and the gifts unveiled. So let me tell you a little bit about this incredibly special person. Liane is an energy healer, a Jungian coach, and her journey has included a shift from her previous career as a business-to-business marketing specialist, offering profound energetic activation on a trip to Mexico less than 2 years ago. So her trip was the catalyst for everything you're going to hear about today, and it is mind-blowing. Since then, she's been on a rapid yet deep process of opening, gradually unlocking her channel, and coming to terms with life in her 50s. She's discovered the ability to express frequencies through her voice as light language and is learning to apply it with precision and control to benefit others. Not only to benefit the individual, but our planet and the frequencies that are coming onto our planet. She is playing an important role in our evolution. Liane is also the creator and host of the podcast Behind Our Eyes, where she has deep and fascinating conversations with women over 40 about their spiritual experiences and how their lives were changed. So welcome, Liane. It's so good to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Teresa. I feel really honoured with everything that you've said. It's lovely to be here. Lovely to see everybody, and I'm really excited.
Me too.
And I'll get used to the Northern English accent. I'll try not to talk too fast.
So, what I'd like to do is do a very quick meditation to bring us all into the present moment. And then we're going to move into chatting with Liane. So gently close your eyes or lower your gaze as we move into this present moment. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Anchor your feet into this planet. Expand your energy awareness into your bubble. As you feel this energy moving up through your feet to your crown chakra into source energy. As you awaken the energies within your personal system, your personal energy bubble. Ask your guides, your soul, the universe to support you in receiving exactly what is meant for you. Whether you're live with us now or watching this in the future. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. With gentle awareness and excitement. Come back into the present moment. All right. Thank you. Welcome again, Liane. Let's talk about Mexico and give us a little bit of a here's where I came from and oh my gosh. So we
Yeah,
have some context. Yeah.
of course. Well, I had a 30-year career in marketing. The last 10 of which was running my own marketing agency, specializing in business to business content marketing. So if you know what that is, it's like writing blog posts and ebooks and white papers and email chains and all that kind of stuff with some of the biggest brands in the world, including Michelin and Sodexo and Leica Geosystems. Some of it was quite heavy stuff, but a lot of brain power needed to do it. But I guess I started to develop a practice and interest in meditation like several years before, and I trained as a meditation coach in 2019, which started opening me up to broader concepts around consciousness and who we really are. And I probably started asking those bigger questions at that point, and started to realize at the same time that I was starting to fall out of love with what I was doing as a career. And then ironically, I lost 3 contracts back to back. The company was growing before that. And then suddenly, bang, 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 out of nowhere, nothing we'd done wrong, these contracts dissolved. So I had to downsize my company really, really quickly. And this was 6 months before 2020, when the inevitable event happened with the pandemic landing. But it was weird because I was kind of ready, like I'd reshaped everything. And was in a much leaner state. So the pandemic unfolded and I just concentrated on the main client. So just let's not be stressed. We all work from home. And so that went on. But at the same time, in the background, I was exploring consciousness, studying lots of different aspects to do with the mind, to do with energy, and all those kind of things, really. I got involved with a couple of mentors along the way. So I would definitely say that my self-awareness and wider awareness about the world we live in was already opening up at that point. Then in 2022, as soon as we were able to escape and get away, I don't know why, but I just thought I'd really like to go to Mexico. And 7th of January that year, a friend of mine came to do a little shamanic ceremony with me, just one-to-one in my house. And I had a little experience in that. And it kind of, a feeling of unconditional love just started surging through me. And I was on the floor in my living room, literally just crying out of awe and appreciation for all that is. And after that, she said, I'm organizing a trip to Mexico. Would you like to come? And it was like, wow, okay. And there's my opportunity to go. So I went to Mexico for a month in March 2022. And the first 3 weeks of that trip, I was with a group of people, didn't really know them all. We did a retreat and then we traveled around. We went to a cacao plantation. It was all really beautiful experiences. It was super clean in my diet. We were eating vegan, hadn't touched alcohol for a while. But I started to have this real internal wrangling going on, like, really, I couldn't express myself. I couldn't even write in a journal. I started doing voice notes because I just found that I couldn't work out what was going on inside of me, which kind of makes sense now based on how things unfolded.
Whoops. Oh, Liane, there we go. Thank you.
Okay. I guess it was a shift in identity. I was in my 50s. I really didn't know who I was anymore. My son had grown up. Your looks start to change. Well, all the things that you kind of validate who you are and your identity when you're younger was starting to fall away. And I knew that's what was going on inside of me. I just I don't even know who I am anymore.
Yeah.
The trip ended and my son joined me for the last 10 days of being in Mexico. And I'd gone from this amazing, proper kind of grassroots, traveling on buses, staying in plantations, to walking into a 5-star all-inclusive hotel for a trip, for a holiday with my son. And from the minute I walked in the lobby, it was like, oh, I don't like it. Get me out of here. I ended up calling it the luxury prison because just everything about it just felt off to me now, So I said to my son, right, this isn't Mexico. I took us out for 3 nights and went to a place called Tulum down the road. Now, Tulum in Mexico is a bit of a spiritual mecca. It's either known for spirituality or partying, one or the other. And we stayed at a place called Holistica, which was a holistic well-being center. They have lots of lots of different things there. Lots of yoga, breath work, ceremonies, all kinds of things. And we had a great trip and it was lovely. We experienced lots of things, for me, including a Temazcal, which is a traditional Mexican sweat lodge, which is another form of purification, I guess. And actually, just before my son came out, I'd also received Cambo. I don't know if anybody's aware of what Cambo is.
No.
In fact, people refer to it as frog poison, but it's a secretion that comes from the skin of this frog that lives in the jungle that protects it from predators because it's poison.
Yeah.
And there's a story behind it, but ultimately they call it nature's vaccine. They burn holes in your skin, they push the poison into the holes, and your body reacts and you're violently sick. Now, I know that doesn't sound like fun. No,
Nope.
but it clears you out, really clears you out. So I'd had that as well, and the Temazcal. So we're leaving this place called Holistica, heading back to the luxury prison. And my son went to have a chiropractic session, and I looked at the agenda and I thought, oh, Kundalini activation process. I'll go to that, thinking it was something like a yoga class, Kundalini yoga, something like that. I walk into the room and there's about 8 people in there, and she just says, so just want you to lie down on the floor with your head facing the center. So I'm a bit confused, thinking, like, what do we do? So you don't do anything. You just lie there and receive. This is an energetic transmission. So I lie down, thinking, okay, this is a bit weird, but I'll go with it. From the minute she turned the music on and came near me, my body went off like a rocket. Like and at the time, I wasn't scared. I was curious because I was on a bit of this seeking journey. But my legs and arms were up in the air. I was having convulsions. My head was tipping back like this. One point I was screaming. Another point I was crying. All of this stuff was going on. And this was going on for an hour. And it would wane a little bit. And then every time she came near me again, boom, off I would go again. And then there was one point during this event where, and I'd never had a vision before. I'd never had anything like that that I'm aware of, that I suddenly see a vision of this man who wasn't of this time. And in this scene, because I'm lay on the floor, he's knelt down looking down at me. He's wearing a cream kaftan, orange turban, beard, absolutely beautiful face. But and it was like a movie picture clarity of the image. And as soon as I saw him, I burst into tears out of pure love. It was like somebody ripped my heart open. And so now in addition, tears are streaming down my face as well. And then I just get this message that, again, as I'm sure many people will understand, is it wasn't spoken in my ear, but it was clear as day in my head, which was, this is what you're here to do. And I'm still working out what this is.
Yeah.
But
that was my question. Yep.
Yeah. I have no idea who this man was. I'd never seen anything like him before. I knew it wasn't a figment of my imagination and then made it up because there was just no reference point for it. And of course, I sit up. My hair's like a bird's nest at this point because my neck had been rolling around like crazy. And I was literally like, what the F just happened? And everybody started laughing. She says, I've not done anything to you. I've just activated what was already there. So it's like, okay. We leave the class, and I carry on having convulsions for another hour. Like I don't have control of my body. It was like having epilepsy, just junnering like all the time. My son met me and was like, what is going on? I was like, I don't know. But I just found it amusing. Like I didn't feel any damage had been done. I was just a bit blown away. So that was the start of it. Little did I know that would then unfold in so many different ways, because those convulsions carried on when I got home. And the only way I can describe it is that something would, and this is me reflecting back now, something would resonate with me energetically, not with my mind. It's not like I would connect with something mentally, energetically, which would take me by surprise. And the next thing, I'm on the floor having a convulsion, babbling, blah, 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 all this stuff coming out of my mouth, hands, no control over it whatsoever. And that carried on for quite a while. So that's the crux of what started all of this off. And I was a corporate marketing professional until that day.
Wow. So I want to take a moment to really acknowledge how profound that experience is. And were you scared? I listening, I'm like, uh, you I'm on
No,
the edge of my seat.
it's strange, but no, I wasn't. I'd gone from who am I, like feeling really lost,
Yeah.
feeling insignificant as I aged, and questioning my life, to suddenly having all these crazy energetic experiences. So it was almost like, whoa, what's going on? I was fascinated. I still am.
Wow. I absolutely love that.
I can see Karen's
So,
asked a question.
yeah,
Yeah.
do you want to answer Karen's question?
Yeah. From what I
So,
understand, people
so hold
respond.
on. Let's
Sorry.
let's read her let's read her question
Oh, yeah.
for
Sorry.
context. So Karen asks, was it just you having this response, or did others have such a strong reaction?
In the room on that day, it was just me that reacted like that. However, I have done that same Kundalini CAP, it's short for is Kundalini activation process, a few times, and everybody's response is individual to them. I think it depends on where you're at energetically, how open you are. Like, you receive what you're meant to receive. I now understand that. And I've been in rooms where people have responded in lots of different kind of ways, including releasing trauma and screaming, because that's what
Yeah.
a lot of that was. Yeah, I guess you could say I was ready.
Yeah.
When I look back and try and rationalize it, and why did it happen then? Because it did. Because it did. And I had been searching for answers on the inside for quite some time. There was a build up to that.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that played a role in it. They say, don't they, when you start asking the bigger questions, eventually an opening will occur.
Yeah. And boy, did it occur. And there's that human part of me that listens to your story, to your experience, and has awe and wonder and concern. The energetic part of me, that soul connection part, is celebrating. It's like, oh, she's here, she's doing the work, she's contributing to the evolution of the planet in such a profound way. And I want to acknowledge your courage and bravery and resilience to continue to move forward, even through such a profound experience.
Yeah, thank you.
So, what happened when you came home?
I don't think at any point I've been frightened, but I'll be honest in saying there were times when I was a bit confused. Like, what is this
Yeah,
for? Why is this happening? And what am I supposed to do with it? And I didn't tell a lot of my older friends and family. Um, I didn't, yeah, because I was still trying to work out. My son saw it all, bless him. He's 25 now, and he just embraced it, because he'd literally be in the living room and I've just had a convulsion and babbled a load of stuff in the kitchen. I'm like, did you hear that? It's like, yeah. He'd found it fascinating as well. So I went to see some energy healers that I knew, and they were helping me clear my field. Just like there's stuff stuck in there. So that clearing of my own field and my own chakras was a process over time. I had
yeah.
more CAP sessions, primarily online, but I went back to Mexico a second time. Like 5 weeks after I got home, I went back.
Oh,
And yeah, and I had more CAP sessions, and more things started to unfold. And I went to train in cacao. So I'm also what's known as a cacaoista. I hold cacao ceremonies and things happen there as well. Again, it's generally like if something was resonating energetically or my energy started to go up, that's my body would start reacting and my mouth would start, spewing sounds. And on that second trip to Mexico was when light language started to come in, because it was like something was stuck and trying to articulate. It did not sound nice. And I guess sometimes it would sound demonic to some people. Like I'd had
Right.
that feedback, like it scared them because they're like, what is coming out of your mouth? And for me not to know, but I kind of knew intuitively, like within myself, I was safe. And I needed to kind of help this in some way. And also just to say, when I came back from the first trip to Mexico, I went to see a friend of mine and I was explaining the experience and I described this man to her, and no word of a lie, she's very spiritual. She went, I know who he is. And I was like, how can you know who he is? She went and got some oracle cards, Ascended Master oracle cards.
Yeah.
Now, I hadn't even heard the phrase Ascended Masters before that point. And she pulls a card out and shows it to me. And my jaw hit the floor. Lord Katumi, who was dressed exactly as I'd seen him on this oracle card, like to the minute detail, the orange turban, the cream. It was just like I was speechless.
Wow.
And again, the mind wants to attach lots and lots of meaning to that, but I still can't tell you, Lord Katumi came to do this for this reason because of that. It's still unfolding and unraveling, and that's the joy in it, I guess.
Yeah.
And for me, who's got a very strong logical mind, when you're a marketeer working with very complex, detailed information, and you've got to turn it into something that is engaging and interesting and simple, you have to have a strong, logical, rational mind. And that has been part of my process, really, is allowing the mind to let go. You're never going to know all the answers. You can't put meaning to absolutely everything. You just need to surrender, accept, and allow.
Yes.
And that's what has been happening ever since. And that led me to want to learn more, because I've got a very, it's all mind stuff, it's all information.
Yep.
But that had to come along with kind of the energetic learning, if you like, that my mind had to get some sense of what was going on in order to accept it and then step back and allow things through.
Well, and there has to be such a deep sense of trust. Trust in yourself to know that you're being supported and you're safe and evolving, and trust in the universe that it's bringing in exactly what you need in the moment in the amount of energy that you can work with.
Yeah.
So that's incredible, because I think for us humans, trust even of self can be a little bit of hurdle, a little bit of a barrier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I look back on my life, there was a lot of things very clear to me. I'd always had to make things happen, always very much been in my masculine push, drive, look after myself, very independent. My mum died when I was 10, and that set
Wow.
a template, if you like, for how I then was in terms of being very independent and driven. And now I'm being asked to just surrender and allow and let things unfold and be present, and know that signs are being shown to you all the time, and still need the action and the doing, but now it's a balance. So no pushing, no being in that energy of striving like I had been all my life. And there was so many realizations since that time. One of them was I realized that all the pains in my body were on the left side, which is the feminine side. Like everything, where I had arthritis, where my hip was aching, with the shoulder pain, it was all the left side. Almost like the feminine crying out, for goodness sake, will you just listen? Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So tell us how the light language unfolded. You said that it started to come in your second trip to Mexico, which was just, excuse me, weeks after the first one.
Yeah, I can't explain why I went back. It was just I need to go back. um yeah, it was I remember being stuck in my hotel room. It was pouring with rain outside, and just energy was flowing in me. I was dancing around my hotel room, like I had to move because there was so much energy going, and at the same time all these sounds were trying to come out, but it was stuck. And I filmed myself and I sent it to my friend in the UK. I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on. Well, this sounds awful.
Yeah.
And she's a very intuitive. She's a channel and an energy healer. And she's like, you've got some stuff seriously stuck. Go to bed. I'll work on it while you're asleep. So we did that. When I got up the next morning and it started again, I started singing. And I'm not a singer at all. But sometimes it's like a singing voice comes out. And
Wow.
it was like, oh, we cleared a bit more there, cleared a bit more. And then it just went on for most of the time of certainly in 2022. I had no control over light language. So it would just spontaneously erupt. Same, that energetic resonance would happen. And it was like light language would give a response. I could be looking at an Instagram post and next minute I'm, blah, 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 I'm babbling in light language. I had a couple of instances where it popped in spontaneously and then I actually couldn't speak English and started panicking. Like going in, I can't remember the exact context other than my son was in the lounge. I went in to ask him something. And as I opened my mouth, I started speaking light language and he just looked at me strange. And then I'm frantically trying to speak in English and it's still coming out in light language. And he's just rolling around on the floor laughing. And I'm getting more and more frustrated, panicking, thinking, what if I can never speak English again? So things like that would happen. I'd see something, I'd read something, and it would just express. Now, probably over time, that has got much more fluid. I've got more control. It still happens occasionally where it just pops in. But in the main, I'm now being more intentional with it.
Wonderful. And so Karen asks, and Karen's our cue for questions. Thank you so much. It's the engineer brain. I know. What is light language? Give us your definition of what it is.
For me, it's energy. You know, at its
Yeah.
simplest form, it's a frequency or multiple frequencies of energy. And there are there's lots and lots of information about light language. And what I'm also finding as well is that more and more this is opening up in more and more people.
Yeah.
Men and women, but seems to be mainly women where this is happening. So whether it's like an energetic activation of some form. For me, I think the word language can be confusing because it's not like I express, it can sound very much like an ancient language, depending on what frequency it is. But you
Yeah.
can't, it's not like you would translate that word for word. It doesn't work like that. So language can make it a little bit confusing. It's a pure expression of frequency through the voice that when people receive it, it bypasses the mind, goes straight to the heart and influences the energetic field. So what people receive from it will also be unique to them because it's coming through the filter of your own feed and whatever is in your field and in your makeup energetically.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really fast and really high pitched, almost sounds like computer code. Sometimes it's really slow and really articulate and deep. It comes with hand movements as well. So my hands express in, and I actually found with the Kundalini activation that my hands were directing my body at the same time. So that was interesting. So that it's the same again. Excuse me.
Yep.
Coughing. It's like it knows it's coming. So um,
Incoming.
yeah, but there's lots of information about it saying it's multidimensional. What you hear is only part of it, pulling down energy and frequency from higher dimensions. And there is a lot of information about some of the light language frequencies being from different extraterrestrial races.
Yeah.
Some of it saying it comes from really ancient earth languages like Lemurian or Atlantean, etc. I believe, Mark, from where I come from, is that there is a light language for every frequency. That's what I feel to be true. Because I know when I've done some healings in the past and I've brought in the elements, that I found myself channeling earth, the element of earth, the element of water. I mean, it sounds bizarre when it comes out of my mouth, but it's because the frequency changed. So my gut instinct and feeling is, yeah, there are very specific sources of it, but I feel that it's an expression of frequency vocally. Some people also write light language. It's like they'll just channel it, and it's symbols and signs. And some people dance and their body moves in a certain way. So it can be expressed in multiple different ways. So hopefully I've answered you that, Karen, with my take on it.
Yeah, and it can also come in images. I have a friend, I think he's in Las Vegas at the moment, Brian DeFlores, who draws pictures.
Yeah.
Using light language. And it is, and I love your explanation because you're receptive to a whole host of frequencies. And my sense is that based on who's receiving, who your audience is, what is needed in the moment, that's what comes through you. There's deep intelligence, thoughtfulness, in the transmission. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, I like, for everything I've learned about energy and my own journey so far, is we are talking about intelligent energy anyway, no matter what the expression of it is in our particular reality. The energy knows where to go, it knows what to do, it knows what you need. And that's part of the surrender and trusting that everything that's happening is happening in the way it should. Even in my own study with energy healing, because that was a big part of me opening up even more. I found that even with the energy healing modality that I learned, which is kind of very vast and open, light language comes because that's part of my expression, my way of doing things, my way of enhancing the frequency of the work is through the light language, where other people might use other things. And always we're taught, intention is everything. We set the intention and we let go of feeling that we need to be doing the doing and all of the different elements of how. The intention will direct the energy in the right way.
Well said. Thank you. I agree 100%. And I love that you have brought this ability in and you're going to share it with us today. So, Karen asks, when did you start working with energy?
I started working with energy in June 2022. So that was the beginning of my ongoing education. I'm very curious. That rational, logical mind is actually standing me in good stead. So yes, so after Mexico, then I'm open and I'm receptive, and things that came into my awareness that were resonating with me, I was drawn to, I followed that, and I let my business just drop. I let it just disintegrate. I say, like, I didn't leave anybody in the lurch. It came to a natural conclusion, and I just didn't push it forward anymore because it was like, no, I actually can't do this anymore. My body was saying no. I had an opportunity to pitch for some new business and I nearly threw up. It was literally like, definitely can't go that way. So I had to walk this way. I had to understand it more and open it more.
Yeah. That's I think that when we're ready and receptive, the universe brings in everything we need. It's just, are you willing to receive it and take that first step? So, and you had a lot of first steps in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, and as many people will probably appreciate with this, I've had relationships kind of drift out of my life because I'm not the person that I was.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do the things that I used to do. And they can now see at a distance I'm up to something. The usual thing is saying, yes, I've been following your journey with interest. I'm like, you've been wondering what I'm doing, but you're a bit curious, but you're not quite sure what it is. And then a whole host of new people come into my life that totally get me and totally get this and are really supportive.
No, that's beautiful. So, shall we do some light language?
Yeah, take this off. I'm also just going to change the microphone so that you'll be able to hear me. You can hear me when from here. Is that clear? Because if my hands move, we don't knock everything flying.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to set a general intention to bring in the frequencies that, for the highest good of all, that will just deliver to each of you what you need in this moment right now. You can keep your eyes open if you want, or close them down. But I would just take a few deep breaths just to ground yourself into this present moment. And try and get the mind to relax. Because the mind will immediately want to try and make sense of what is coming out of my mouth. And we just have to say, thank you, mind. Appreciate everything that you do, but it's time to relax. And come into your heart and just feel your heart open so that you're receiving it through the heart. Okay? Yato sokoro batakishi. Morosi kanama atoshiko unyatsi sikamai. Nyasi na marakato shokoro batete sikina monoto shopatarkite putukoro bateki ai. Mains murata sikina monoto suko ba atikara ba ato okokokokokoko. Sion no to sokoro menete sikira barakite sirmonu shinamane atakite putushko u. Malai sia unshik mon shina malakta kitera ba koto sokoro batata kita pototora kada patatushko. Nyai so repto shini monota kina matata sikina malato oshikina manati I. Siono no batasi kina ma ote si ki minota sira manoto o minera tasakina baratushka. Manyasi ni mo ote sikini moto tsukuro pato sui dan yamato sukuro oto shikini mata takari dikilo boto si morota seki marata sikini ma atakuro pato sukuro manai ai soro to soku unya sakana mata si monosoko no marata sekire dato kuro pato shikuro pato shikimane yatoro bitikere pato shikuro pato shikimane dato kuro pato shikiro pato kuro pato Miala scuro, Yamano to sco kita casia cry, Siono no zucro patatiki patatokoroish. Mana desikina mantakara tisiko the pochi siki moe sakama atokori sikina utoish. Marata sikina ma ai, moroto sikina moya sikina ma atakite baroto sokoro bara siamore anyanya sipu kutushikina ma atisikina ma otoshikina ma ata. Huinyata sikinamai, sokolomai, toishi. Munia soira marakinai. Muno soira kalani munia siana moku otu sakalamata sikinamatosh. Marati sikinamai, sikinamai. Moshi na marata sokoi. Manoto soko nia kuti sikini. Ni amori atasi. Niane siana makine mara sokoro shiti siki mo shuatase. Mo asina marataki de patato Siena mo kore te ke na mo ona te sikine me ota sikine ma atoko oshuka di paka anissimo. Yasi. Siamo kush. So my energy goes really high. So I'm just grounding. Ooh, okay.
That was incredibly powerful and beautiful. Thank you so much, Liane.
You're very welcome.
For me, the experience, I'm feeling my third eye, my crown, and my throat deeply activated at new levels. And at one point, it was almost as if there were instructions coming through, and the human Teresa didn't get it. There was information and instructions, but my higher self is, oh, yes. Oh, thank you. Wow.
Yeah, and I'm starting to lean into it more now and wanting to know more and wanting to know how to work with it more. It's been very intuitive until this point. But starting to work with some mentors. I've got lots of experience with it so that I can build on where it's at. I've kind of just seen it as this weird thing that I've done previously, it was just like, and then the more exposed I was to people and energy, and they were like, no, you need to be working with this, you need to be adding this in. And I was like, oh, I just thought it was this weird thing that came out of my mouth. So that's what I mean now, being more intentional, um, and seeing how it can. I mean, I know it benefits me. I'm feeling under the weather. I'll call in light language and it will clear whatever, you know, is making me feel like that in that moment.
Yeah. I know you're at the beginning of the exploration of this journey, and I feel compelled to ask, because I do think this is so important. How can people experience this with you? Or is this something that you can offer one on one?
Yeah, there are people out there in the world that call themselves like language practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that. It just kind of comes into what I'm doing with the geo love healings, and more often than not, because I do those remotely, I don't let people hear it when I'm doing it because I'm working on their energetic field, because I find that it's difficult for them to be in a meditative state and receive a healing if that's what they're hearing. But increasingly, people are getting a response or a feeling when they do hear it. So I'm still finding my feet with what the right combination is, and I'm just experimenting with it. I'm doing little free group healings once a month, and I'm bringing it in there as an experiment. Um, and who knows where it's going to go. I know it has so much more to it than I appreciate at the moment. So people using it for healings, but I know that it's more than that. um so yeah, so what a light language practitioner is, I'm not really quite sure, being honest.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll find out. It feels weird calling it a practitioner as well. um
Well, I think that your evolution, because of who you are, how curious you are, how brave, it will unfold exactly as you are meant to deliver it to the world.
yeah.
And one of the things that we talked about in group last night is we call in all the tools that we build in our lifetime, and those are our offering, and we are the unique package that combines it into this divine opportunity to empower others.
Yeah. So I trained as a coach, or more a Jungian coach. So this isn't
Mhm.
about building up the ego. It's more on how do we free our minds, get the ego out of the driving seat, so the true self can step forward, knowing that everything that we experience on the outside is a reflection of what's on the inside.
Yep.
And it made sense to me to combine that with energy. And
Yep.
I'm recently going to be adding breath work in as well, because that's another powerful modality. So I have a number of things in my toolbox at the moment, and I'm really just exploring how they can all work together to help people initiate that transformation that many are yearning for, specifically older women, I think, because it's who I am. You know, I'm 55 years old. This all started in my 50s.
Yeah.
And I think that was for a reason. You know, our ego doesn't become fully formed till we're about 35 anyway, depending on our life experience. So it's much maybe easier to accept when you look within and these things activate, um, than the chaos that can happen if you have a Kundalini awakening in your 20s, which then throws up all of your
Yeah.
trauma and challenges in a way that you can't really handle.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. And I agree. The life experience that we bring into the awakening allows us the freedom to move into it with a little more courage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's what I explore on the podcast. It's women who've they might have had awakenings when they were younger, but it's about what's the message now for other women over 40 in this
Hmm.
world that is so obsessed with youth,
Yeah.
that especially in the West
Yeah.
we struggle for our place. I felt so unseen and
Yeah.
unheard, and that's triggered stuff from childhood. And it was just like, no, 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 no. This is when we are in our true power. And then all of this was like, oh boy, yes, are we? I know there's lots of others out there who are experiencing this, and that's why I wanted to bring those stories out to inspire other women who just might be getting to that stage and feeling like,
Yeah.
oh, what is this world to me anymore?
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Karen had an additional question. What do you do to call it in? How do you open the door?
It's really easy for me. I would say, before I couldn't do that. Like, I'd sit there and nothing would happen, and it would just fire on in whenever it felt like it, which wasn't always convenient. And it is literally now, all I need to do is close my eyes and intend it, and it comes. And
Beautiful.
before, when it would come in, I would feel it come in almost like a boom. Whereas it's just there. I think it's probably just become part of me, more
Yeah.
integrated, which makes it more accessible.
Beautiful. So, does anybody else have questions for Liane while we have her? And would anybody like to share what their experience is? And you can do so in the chat or speak up or not. All right.
Mhm.
Liane, this has been amazing. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you shared your gifts with me, with our live audience, and with all the people that will be watching this in the future. And how can people stay in communication with you? How can they find you?
I'm on Instagram. It's Liane Lights Up, Liane, Liane Lights Up. And also the podcast has an Instagram account. It's not a big one yet, called Behind Our Eyes 333, because that number follows me around everywhere, like to beyond bonkers level. Um, I also have a website, superreal.com, SUPAREAL.com. And that was actually my agency name, my B2B marketing agency. And it was so strange because as I switched, I thought, that's actually really relevant. It's just like maybe this is the business I was meant to create after all. So I kept the name and the domain. It's just a different website there now, much to the amusement of the creative industries, I'm sure, that I came from.
Yeah. Yeah. And your clients that you worked with in the past, when they look you up, it's a different Liane.
It's very different, yeah, in
Yeah.
so many different ways that aren't always evident to other people, you know. I do get comments about my energy and the way I come across, but so much has changed on the inside, absolutely.
Yeah. And you mentioned a monthly group that you offer.
I
Is that
do.
something you email out to friends or?
Yeah, I mean, there is a link tree. It's in my link tree. You know, the link on Instagram. You click
Yep.
that, and I'm always publishing there all the places you can find me, the podcast, etc. But any of the group healings that are coming up are in there, and you can book on. It's a Calendly thing. Um, yeah, there is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. They limit the numbers just because I manage my energetic capacity, and
Mhm.
but I'm just going to keep doing that because I get so much out of it. And the one thing about this work is, even though you're serving for others, you're channeling
Yeah.
energy. It has to come through me, so I get it every time. But it can put me in bed the next day as well if I've gone a bit further than my nervous system can cope with, which has happened quite a few times.
Yes. Yeah.
But
It's
yeah, you can.
managing capacity and flow.
Yeah, that link on my Instagram is links to everything else. And as I say, I'm just starting to show up more. And certainly for 2024, um, I feel free to be able to fully express myself in all of this without any fear now. So that's quite exciting.
Well, we're thrilled and we're so excited to be part of your journey. And I hope we get to do this again. And I'll actually be on your podcast.
Yes, yeah.
But I do hope you come back to Soul Channel and share your gifts again and your wisdom.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to. Yeah, the journey continues, hey?
It does. It
Well, thank you
does.
so much for coming, everybody, live. It was a real joy to see you all, and thank you for receiving. Just know that the energy worked in whatever way it needed to, and this is the challenge with energy healing. It's not like I did X, therefore Y is going to happen, because everybody's unique in what unfolds.
Beautiful. And with that, we will close this recording. Thank you so much.
Thank you.